If she does this, she's already attracted to you. Psychology tricks. Welcome to our channel. It's Stoicism Win, where you find interesting and useful knowledge from the Stoic philosophers to lead a happy and good life. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminds us, we have two ears and one mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. And when it comes to attraction, that wisdom matters more than most men realize. A woman will almost never walk up to you and plainly say, "I'm attracted to you, make a move." That is rarely how real human connection begins. More often, attraction appears in quiet, subtle, easily missed signals. She may touch an object near her, adjust something in her space, or use a small physical gesture that seems ordinary on the surface, but carries meaning underneath. If you do not understand that silent language, the moment can pass before you even realize it was there, and her attention may already move toward someone more aware. That may feel uncomfortable to hear, but it is also powerful because once you understand it, you stop blaming yourself for being confused and start seeing what was there all along. Research in nonverbal communication has long suggested that much of emotional exchange happens without words, and that means the most important part of an interaction is often not what she says, but what her body quietly reveals through posture, rhythm, gestures, and especially the small movements of her hands. The truth is, most men were never taught to read that kind of communication. You were taught to wait for obvious signs, direct statements, and perfect clarity. But attraction is rarely loud. It is layered. It is nuanced. It often hides inside behavior that looks casual to the untrained eye. So if you have ever walked away from an interaction wondering whether she was interested or simply being polite, you are not alone. More importantly, you do not have to stay stuck in that uncertainty. Today, we are opening your eyes to a form of communication that has always existed, even if you were never shown how to recognize it. And once you begin to notice it, everything changes. You stop second-guessing every word. You stop replaying moments in your head. You become calmer, more grounded, more present. That is the real shift. This is not about learning cheap tricks. It is about developing awareness, and awareness changes the way you experience connection. If you have ever found yourself thinking, "I should have said something," or "maybe I missed my chance," then this understanding may quietly reshape the way you relate to women from this day forward. At the same time, wisdom requires balance. Not every gesture means attraction by itself. Context matters. Tone matters. Repetition matters. One signal alone proves very little, but consistent patterns often reveal genuine interest more clearly than words ever could. That is where mature men set themselves apart. They do not rush to conclusions. They observe. They stay composed. They read the whole moment, not just one isolated action. And there is one behavior in particular, one that many men wrongly dismiss as indifference, that can actually point to deeper emotional engagement. So stay present, stay curious, and keep your mind open, because sometimes the very sign you once ignored was the sign that mattered most. 1. Facial framing, often misunderstood. Facial framing is one of those subtle signals that quietly reveals far more than most men realize, yet it's constantly misread, dismissed, or completely overlooked, and that mistake costs you moments you never even knew you had. As patterns begin to form in your interactions, you will notice something that may confuse you at first: her stillness. She's not fidgeting, not overexpressing, not trying to impress. Instead, she rests her chin lightly on her hand, lets her fingers trace along her cheek, or gently holds her face as she listens to you. And your first instinct? You assume boredom. You assume she's losing interest. You assume the moment is slipping away. Don't. That is where most men get it wrong. That is where awareness separates you from the crowd. What you're actually seeing is something rooted deeply in female psychology, something quiet but incredibly telling. It's called facial framing, and it is one of the most overlooked psychology tricks in attraction. This behavior is not random. It is not meaningless. It is an unconscious way of drawing attention to her face while she is emotionally present with you. Think about that for a moment. When a woman subtly highlights her face, she is not withdrawing. She is inviting attention without asking for it. She is not disengaged, she is comfortable enough to slow down. And comfort, in the language of attraction, is never a small thing. It is the foundation of everything. You must understand this clearly. Attraction is rarely loud, especially in the early stages. It does not always come with dramatic gestures or obvious signals. More often, it shows up in softness, in stillness, in small, repeated behaviors that only reveal themselves to the man who is paying attention. That is why mastering these psychology tricks is not about memorizing lines or techniques. It's about learning how to observe without rushing to judgment. When she frames her face like this, she is relaxed. She is open. Her guard is not up. And in female psychology, that level of ease does not happen by accident. It happens because she feels safe enough, interested enough, and emotionally engaged enough to stay present with you without needing to perform. Don't misinterpret that calmness. Don't rush to fill the silence. Don't assume you need to do more to win her attention. Be still. Match her pace. That is how to fall in love with the moment itself instead of chasing reactions. Because here's the truth most men overlook. When a woman is truly disengaged, she doesn't soften, she disconnects. Her body turns away. Her eyes wander. Her energy shifts elsewhere. But when she is gently holding her face, when her movements are slow and unforced, when she seems settled rather than stimulated, that is not disinterest. That is presence. That is a quiet form of attraction that doesn't need to announce itself. And if you understand how to read that, you begin to operate on a completely different level. You stop chasing obvious signs. You start recognizing real ones. You move from guessing to knowing. And that shift changes everything. It changes how you carry yourself. It changes how you respond. It changes how she feels around you. Because confidence is not about being loud or dominant, it's about being accurate. It's about seeing what others miss and responding with calm certainty. So when you notice facial framing, don't overthink it. Don't interrupt it. Don't break the moment by questioning it. Let it be. Stay grounded. Stay present. That is what makes her feel understood without you saying a word. And in a world where most men misread female psychology and react too quickly, the man who can remain steady, who can interpret these psychology tricks with clarity, becomes rare. And rarity is attractive. Always has been. Always will be. So be that man. Don't rush. Don't assume. Don't misread stillness as absence. Be patient enough to see what's really happening. Because once you understand these quiet signals, once you truly understand how to fall in love with the subtlety of human behavior, you stop missing opportunities that were right in front of you all along. 2. Lip signals. Now shift your attention slightly upward to the lips. That is where many men miss the message entirely. They look at the room, the posture, the smile, the obvious things. But they skip the small signal that often says the most. When she touches her lips, presses a finger near them, or applies lip balm while maintaining eye contact, it is usually not just grooming. It is not random. It is not meaningless. Very often, it is an unconscious way of drawing attention to a feature humans are naturally wired to notice. Nature understands what pride often forgets. Attraction rarely arrives with a speech. It arrives with a glance, a pause, a gesture so brief that only a man with presence can catch it. And that is exactly why this matters. A high-value man does not wait for neon signs. He pays attention to subtlety. He understands that attraction is often quiet before it is clear, graceful before it is spoken, and delicate before it becomes bold. In the right context, paired with warmth, presence, and engagement, it becomes a quiet signal. Notice this. Notice me. Notice the moment. Do not misunderstand that point. A single gesture, by itself, does not write the whole story. You must always read the full picture. You must look at the eyes, the tone, the timing, the emotional atmosphere. But when lip touching appears alongside sustained eye contact, a softer facial expression, a slower rhythm in conversation, or a kind of playful attentiveness, something deeper may be happening beneath the surface. She may not be thinking, "Let me send a signal now." Human behavior is often more elegant than that. The body speaks before the mind organizes a sentence. That is why so many men miss attraction. They're waiting for a direct announcement in a language attraction rarely uses. They want certainty. They want something loud. But real chemistry is often whispered. And the men who attract women consistently are often the men who know how to hear whispers without becoming desperate for noise. Pause for a second and reflect. How many times have you seen these details but dismissed them as nothing? Not because you could not see, but because no one ever explained what they meant. That is the tragedy for many men, especially those who have gone through enough life to become practical, guarded, and skeptical. Experience can make a man wiser, yes, but it can also make him blind in a very polished way. He begins to think every signal is accidental, every warm look is courtesy, every gentle cue is meaningless. He tells himself he is being realistic. Sometimes he is simply being disconnected. Do not do that. Do not reduce every possible sign of attraction into something sterile just to protect yourself from uncertainty. Be steady, not numb. Be observant, not paranoid. There is a difference. A high-value man does not chase fantasies, but he also does not insult reality by pretending chemistry does not exist when it is standing right in front of him. The lips matter because they sit at the center of expression. People speak with them, smile with them, conceal emotion with them, and reveal desire through them without realizing it. When a woman lightly touches that area while looking at you, it can function almost like a spotlight turned on for a second. Not a spotlight for the room, a spotlight for you. It creates emphasis. It says, in the body's private language, look here. Feel the tension. Notice the softness. That does not mean you should react like an overeager teenager. Don't. That ruins everything. The point is not to pounce on the signal. The point is to recognize it and remain grounded. Masculine energy is not frantic. It is not loud. It does not crumble because attraction appears. It becomes calmer, sharper, more precise. A man who understands signals like this does not become thirsty for validation. He becomes more aware of connection. And here is where the psychology gets even more interesting. The more unconscious a gesture is, the more revealing it can be. People can fake words. They can rehearse lines. They can perform confidence. But these small self-touch gestures often slip through the cracks of conscious control. That is why they matter so much in human interaction. When attraction is present, the body often becomes more expressive, more alive, more attentive to itself. She may adjust her hair. She may angle her body more openly. She may soften her voice. And yes, she may bring attention to her lips without even realizing she is doing it. Not because she has planned a strategy, but because interest changes physiology. It changes focus. It changes rhythm. The body begins participating in the conversation before the person fully admits to herself what she feels. That is not manipulation. That is human nature. Now be careful here. Context is everything. If she is distracted, closed off, avoiding engagement, or clearly focused on something else, then the gesture may mean nothing at all. You must not isolate one detail and build a fantasy around it. That is not wisdom. That is projection. But when the lip gesture comes wrapped in genuine connection, when she lingers in the moment, holds eye contact a little longer, smiles with warmth rather than politeness, and seems fully present with you, then you are no longer looking at a random habit. You are looking at a pattern. And patterns reveal far more than isolated moments ever could. Men who attract women well are not magical. They are attentive. They do not just see beauty. They read behavior. They understand emotional timing. They know when the room has changed, even if nobody says a word. That is the gap we are closing today, because many men were never taught this language. They were taught extremes. Either she'll tell you if she likes you, or ignore everything unless it's obvious. But attraction does not live at the extremes. It lives in nuance. It lives in the almost invisible. It lives in the half second where her fingers brush her lips as she listens to you with that particular look in her eyes. That is where social intelligence begins. That is where masculine energy becomes attractive rather than performative. Do not underestimate how powerful it is when a man can notice subtle behavior without becoming awkward about it. Women feel that. They feel when a man is tuned in without being intrusive. They feel when he is calm enough to catch the moment and confident enough not to force it. That balance is rare. That balance is magnetic. So, what should you do if you notice it? First, stay relaxed. Don't announce it. Don't turn it into a joke. Don't break the tension just because you are nervous. Hold your frame. Keep the conversation warm and grounded. Let your eye contact stay steady, not hard. Let your tone stay calm, not performative. If the signal is real, the moment will often continue unfolding on its own. Attraction, when genuine, usually seeks more space, not less. It invites continuation. She will often give another sign, then another. That is your cue to be present, not pushy. Be the man who can handle subtlety. Be the man who does not need everything explained twice. A high-value man knows that patience is not passivity. It is control. It is confidence with discipline. And there is something deeply important beneath all this. Signals like these are not merely about romance. They are about awareness. They're about whether you are fully awake to life or sleepwalking through it. So many men complain that they do not know when a woman is interested, yet they move through conversations half distracted, locked inside their own doubts, unable to read the emotional weather around them. Don't live like that. Don't assume you are invisible when, in truth, you may simply be inattentive. The world often gives you more feedback than you realize. You must learn to receive it. So yes, shift your attention slightly upward to the lips. Watch carefully, not obsessively, calmly, intelligently. When she touches her lips, presses a finger near them, or applies lip balm while maintaining eye contact, it may be far more than grooming. In the right context, it is a quiet signal. Notice this. And once you understand that, you stop walking through interactions like a man waiting for permission to believe what he sees. You begin to trust observation. You begin to embody masculine energy in a cleaner, quieter, stronger way. That is how you attract women without forcing anything. That is how a high-value man moves. He does not beg the moment to reveal itself. He notices. He understands. And when the signal appears, he is ready enough to meet it. And this is where most men miss it, not because they lack awareness, but because they lack understanding. You've seen the signs. You felt the moment, but you hesitated. Don't do that again. Be present. Pay attention. That is how a man moves with clarity and confidence. If this opened your eyes, drop a comment right now. I see the signals. I move with certainty. Like the video, subscribe for more sharp, real-world insight, and remember, awareness creates opportunity, but action is what changes everything. 3. Physical touch. And then everything changes quietly, but unmistakably, because the moment she moves from touching herself to touching you, the signal is no longer hidden. It is no longer indirect. It is no longer something you can afford to question. It is real. It is present, and it is happening right in front of you. As Marcus Aurelius once reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events, which means this moment is not about guessing. It is about how you respond, how you show up, how you hold your frame. Because when a woman reaches out and touches your arm, your shoulder, or your hand, she is stepping into your space with intention, and intention always carries meaning, always carries risk, always carries a silent question. Will you meet me here, or will you retreat? And too many men, especially in today's world of overthinking, distraction, and hesitation, fail right here, not because they lack value, but because they lack presence. They freeze. They analyze. They second-guess. They let the moment pass. And in doing so, they communicate something far louder than words, uncertainty, and uncertainty dissolves attraction faster than anything else. So understand this clearly and lock it into your iron mind. Touch is not casual. Touch is not accidental. Touch is a bridge, and when she builds that bridge, you do not stand still. You walk across it with calm confidence, with grounded energy, with the quiet certainty that comes from old Stoic wisdom. Because Stoicism win is not about chasing signals. It is about being ready when the signal arrives. It is about mastering yourself so completely that, when the opportunity presents itself, your reaction is natural, effortless, and aligned with strength. And here is where most men misunderstand. They think they need to perform, to impress, to escalate dramatically. But that is not what this moment asks of you. Not at all. It asks for presence, nothing more, nothing less, a steady look, a relaxed smile, a subtle lean in, maybe a light return touch that says, without words, I see you, I feel this too. Because attraction thrives in mutual recognition, not forced action. And as Epictetus taught, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. And that is exactly what you must do here. Embody calm, embody awareness, embody control. Because when you meet her energy instead of resisting it or ignoring it, you create flow, and flow is where connection lives. Flow is where attraction deepens. Flow is where moments turn into something more. Now bring this into modern life, where distractions are constant, where attention is fragmented, where genuine connection is rare, and understand that a simple touch, in this environment, carries even more weight than ever before. It cuts through noise. It breaks through barriers. It says, for a moment, I choose you. And if you miss that, if you dismiss it, if you fail to respond, the moment does not wait. It does not repeat. It moves on, often to someone who understands this silent language, someone who lives with an iron mind, someone who has trained himself through old Stoic wisdom to stay present under pressure, to act without hesitation, to recognize opportunity without fear. So stop overcomplicating it. Stop analyzing it to death. Stop asking yourself endless questions. Because attraction is not a puzzle to solve, it is a moment to meet. And when that moment comes, your job is simple. Be there, be grounded, be responsive, be calm. Because calm is power. Calm is confidence. Calm is what separates the man who wonders from the man who acts. And repeat this to yourself until it becomes instinct, until it becomes part of your identity. When she touches you, something has changed. When she touches you, she is opening the door. When she touches you, she is inviting connection. And your role is not to hesitate, not to retreat, not to question your worth, but to step forward with quiet certainty. Because Stoicism Win is built on this exact principle. Master yourself, trust the moment, respond with intention. And when you do that consistently, when you live that way daily, you stop missing signals, you stop losing opportunities, you stop doubting your place, and instead, you move through life with clarity, with strength, with an iron mind that recognizes that the smallest moments often carry the greatest meaning. And the man who understands that, the man who lives that, is the man who wins, not by force, not by noise, but by presence, by awareness, by quiet, undeniable power. 4. Hair signals. Now, let's begin with something most men think they already understand, but almost always underestimate: her hair. You look at it and assume it's just a habit, just grooming, just a casual movement with no deeper meaning. Don't make that mistake. Be sharper than that. That is where most men lose the moment without even realizing it. Because when you truly understand psychology tricks and the deeper layers of female psychology, you start to see that nothing repeated is random, especially when attention is involved. When a woman is attracted to you, her body begins responding before her mind fully processes it, and this is where it gets powerful. Chemicals like dopamine and norepinephrine are released, creating a subtle internal tension, a restless energy that seeks expression. And where does that energy go? Into movement, into touch, into small, unconscious actions that reveal far more than words ever could. Her hands need something to do, and often, her hair becomes that outlet. Not once, not casually, but repeatedly. Pay attention to that word, repeatedly. One movement means nothing. Two could be coincidence. But when you see rhythm, timing, and consistency, that is when meaning begins to reveal itself. She adjusts her hair while looking at you. She pulls it to one side, exposing her neck, a vulnerable and highly expressive area tied deeply to attraction signals in female psychology. She wraps a strand around her finger, slowly, almost absent-mindedly, yet her eyes remain locked on yours. That is not random. That is communication without words. That is how to fall in love, beginning at the subconscious level, where attraction is felt before it is spoken. Most men miss this because they are waiting for something obvious, something direct, something easy. Don't wait for obvious. Be the man who reads subtlety. Be the man who understands that attraction often whispers before it ever speaks. And here's the deeper layer. These actions are not calculated. She is not sitting there thinking, let me play with my hair so he notices me. No, her body is reacting instinctively, guided by patterns wired into human behavior over thousands of years. That is why this matters. Because when you learn to read these patterns, you are no longer guessing. You are observing. You are understanding. You are stepping into awareness while others remain blind. And this is exactly where psychology tricks become practical, not theoretical. You begin to see behavior as signals, not noise. You begin to connect actions with emotional states. You begin to understand female psychology in a way that gives you quiet confidence, not arrogance, but clarity. And clarity is power. Now, don't misunderstand, this is not about jumping to conclusions. Don't see one hair flip and assume attraction. That is careless thinking. Instead, look for clusters. Look for patterns. Look for alignment between her actions and her attention. Is she engaged with you? Is she maintaining eye contact? Is her body oriented towards you while her hands continuously return to her hair? That combination matters. That is where the signal becomes stronger. That is where you stop guessing and start recognizing. And here's the truth most men avoid. Attraction is rarely announced. It is revealed in fragments, in gestures, in moments that require presence to notice. If you are distracted, if you are overthinking, if you are trying too hard to impress, you will miss it. Completely. And someone else, someone more aware, more grounded, more observant, will step in and respond to the signals you ignored. Don't let that be you. Be present. Be calm. That is how to fall in love in a real, grounded way, not by chasing, not by forcing, but by understanding. When you see her playing with her hair while focused on you, don't panic. Don't overreact. Simply recognize it. Let it inform your next move, not control it. Stay composed. Stay steady. Because attraction grows strongest in an environment of calm confidence, not nervous urgency. This is where many men go wrong. They finally notice a signal, and then they rush, they push, they break the rhythm. Don't do that. Match her pace. Mirror her energy subtly. If she is leaning in, you engage more. If she is playful, you respond with lightness. That is emotional intelligence in action. That is applying psychology tricks in a way that feels natural, not forced. And the more you understand female psychology, the more you realize that attraction is not about grand gestures, it is about small, consistent signals that build over time. Her hair is just one piece of the puzzle, but it is a powerful one because it is so often overlooked. It sits right in front of you, happening in real time, and yet most men dismiss it because it seems too simple. Don't underestimate simple. Simple is where truth hides. Simple is where patterns live. And if you can learn to read those patterns, you elevate yourself instantly. You become the man who understands, not the man who guesses. The man who sees, not the man who hopes. So the next time you are in that moment, don't just look, observe. Don't just notice, interpret. Because when her hands keep returning to her hair, when her movements carry rhythm and intention, when her attention stays locked on you, you are not imagining it. You are witnessing attraction in its earliest, most honest form. And if you handle that moment with calm confidence, with awareness, with respect for the process, you won't need to chase anything. It will come to you naturally. That is the power of understanding psychology tricks, the depth of female psychology, and the real foundation of how to fall in love, not through force, but through awareness, patience, and the ability to read what others ignore. 5. Jewelry and object interaction. There's a quiet moment that most men overlook, a subtle shift that happens not in words, but in movement, small, almost invisible actions that reveal far more than any sentence ever could. And if you miss it, you miss everything. Watch closely. When a woman begins to play with her necklace, slowly adjusts a ring, or lightly touches her earrings while she's engaged in conversation with you, don't dismiss it as idle habit. Don't assume it means nothing. That is your mistake. That is where most men lose the moment without even realizing it. What you are seeing is not boredom. It is not distraction. It is emotional overflow. It is the body responding to a rising internal state, interest, curiosity, attraction, and needing somewhere to place that energy. This is one of the most powerful psychology tricks hidden in plain sight, deeply rooted in female psychology, and once you understand it, you begin to see a whole new layer of communication that most men remain blind to their entire lives. Be aware. The hands do not move randomly. They move with purpose, even when the mind is not consciously directing them. When emotional intensity builds, when she feels intrigued, slightly nervous in a good way, or drawn toward you, her body seeks an outlet. That energy needs direction. And instead of expressing it verbally, it flows into small physical actions. The necklace becomes something to hold. The ring becomes something to turn. The earring becomes something to adjust. These objects are not the focus, they are the release. That is the key distinction you must understand. Don't focus on the object. Focus on the energy behind the movement. That is where the truth lives. Now here's where it becomes powerful for you. Most men either ignore these signs or misread them. They think attraction must be loud, obvious, undeniable. They wait for direct signals, clear invitations, spoken confirmation. That is not how it works. Female psychology is subtle. It is layered. It speaks in gestures, not declarations. And if you are waiting for certainty, you will wait forever. You must learn to read the quiet signals. You must trust what is shown, not what is said. That is how to fall in love intelligently, not blindly. That is how to step into awareness instead of guessing. Don't rush in. Don't overreact. That is just as dangerous as missing the sign completely. When you notice these behaviors, stay grounded. Stay composed. Be present. Let the moment breathe. Your job is not to interrupt the energy, but to match it. If she is subtly expressing interest through movement, you respond with calm confidence, not pressure. You hold eye contact a little longer. You speak with clarity. You listen with intention. That is how you amplify attraction without forcing it. That is one of the most overlooked psychology tricks that separates men who understand from men who chase. And understand this deeply. Context matters. A woman fidgeting with jewelry alone means nothing. But when it happens in connection, with eye contact, with engagement, with a certain warmth in her tone, that is when it becomes meaningful. That is when it transforms from random behavior into a signal. You must learn to read patterns, not isolated actions. That is how you interpret female psychology correctly. That is how you avoid confusion and move with certainty. Be disciplined in your observation. Don't look for one sign and assume everything. Look for clusters. Is she leaning in? Is she maintaining attention? Is her body oriented toward you? And within that, is she playing with objects? That combination is not coincidence. That is alignment. That is interest taking form in physical expression. That is your moment, not to act aggressively, but to deepen the connection naturally. Many men fail here because they are disconnected from the present moment. Their mind is somewhere else, worrying, overthinking, trying to impress. And while they are lost in their own thoughts, the signals come and go unnoticed. Don't be that man. Be here. Be aware. Attraction lives in the present. If you miss it now, you don't get it back later. That is the reality. And here's the deeper truth that most don't talk about. When you begin to understand these subtle cues, you don't just improve your dating life. You change the way you connect with people entirely. You become more attentive, more intuitive, more grounded. You stop forcing outcomes and start reading reality as it is. That is how to fall in love with clarity, not illusion. That is how to build connections that are based on awareness, not assumption. So remember this. When you see her fingers lightly tracing the edge of a necklace, when you notice her adjusting a ring while holding your gaze, when her hands find something to do while her attention stays locked on you, don't ignore it. Don't downplay it. Don't overcomplicate it. Recognize it for what it is: emotional energy looking for expression. Attraction finding a subtle outlet. A quiet signal that something is building beneath the surface. Be calm. Be observant. Be intentional. That is how you move differently. That is how you separate yourself from the crowd. That is how you master the psychology tricks that most men never even realize exist. And once you see it, truly see it, You won't be able to unsee it again. 6. Neck signals. Now shift your attention lower to a place most men overlook, yet one that speaks louder than words ever could: the neck. When a woman lightly touches her neck, traces her collarbone, or lets her fingers rest there while she's engaged with you, do not dismiss it, do not overanalyze it, but do not ignore it either, because this is not random, this is not meaningless. This is a signal rooted deep in human nature. And as the old Stoic wisdom reminds us, what stands in the way becomes the way, meaning the subtle things you once overlooked are exactly what you must now learn to see clearly, because the neck is one of the most vulnerable areas of the body. Biologically unprotected, instinctively guarded, and when someone exposes or draws attention to it in your presence, it often signals a level of comfort that cannot be faked. Understand this clearly. Attraction does not begin with bold moves, it begins with safety. It grows in calm spaces, it expands in quiet moments, and if she feels safe enough to reveal vulnerability, even in something as small as a gesture. You are already ahead of most men who rush, who force, who try to impress instead of understanding. And that is where Stoicism truly begins, not in chasing, but in awareness, not in reacting, but in observing with an iron mind. You must train yourself to see patterns, to read energy, to notice the rhythm of interaction, because in modern life, distractions are everywhere. Phones buzz, conversations are shallow, attention is divided. And most men are too busy trying to say the right thing that they forget to read what is already being shown. And as Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength, which means your strength does not come from controlling her response. It comes from controlling your perception, your patience, your presence. When she touches her neck while speaking with you, especially if her tone softens, her body relaxes, and her attention stays with you, that is not coincidence. That is alignment. That is her body signaling ease. And ease is the foundation of attraction. Because no one is drawn to tension, no one opens up in discomfort, no one leans closer when they feel guarded. So you must not break that moment. Do not rush to impress. Do not interrupt the flow. Do not turn it into pressure. Instead, be steady, be calm, be grounded, because your role is not to chase the signal. Your role is to hold the space where that signal can continue to exist. Repeat this to yourself. Do not chase, do not force, do not overthink. Instead, observe, understand, and respond with calm confidence, because this is how an iron mind operates. This is how old Stoic wisdom becomes practical in your life. And this is how Stoicism transforms you from reactive to intentional. Think about your past interactions. How many times did you miss these signals? How many times did you overlook the quiet cues because you were focused on saying the perfect line, trying to impress, trying to control the outcome, and in doing so, you lost the natural flow that attraction depends on, because attraction is not built through pressure, it is built through presence. It is not created by effort alone. It is allowed through emotional safety, and that is your advantage if you choose to. Use it. In today's world, where everything is fast, loud, and superficial, a man who is calm, observant, and emotionally grounded stands out immediately, not because he tries to stand out, but because he does not need to. And that quiet confidence is what creates real connection, not temporary interest, not surface level attraction, but something deeper, something more stable, something that lasts. So when you notice this next signal, do not celebrate too early, do not assume too much, but recognize it as part of a pattern, part of a larger picture, because one signal alone means little, but consistent signals build clarity. And clarity is power. Clarity removes doubt. Clarity gives you direction, and with direction, you move with certainty, not hesitation. Remind yourself again. Be calm, be aware, be patient, because the man who masters himself will always have an advantage over the man who tries to control others. And that is the essence of an iron mind. That is the essence of old Stoic wisdom. That is the path of Stoicism win. You are not here to guess blindly. You are here to see clearly. You are not here to force attraction. You are here to recognize when it is already present and respond in a way that strengthens it, not destroys it, and that requires discipline, emotional control, and the ability to stay grounded even when you notice positive signals, because excitement without control leads to mistakes, but awareness with discipline leads to success. Understand this deeply. Attraction grows in silence, it grows in space, it grows when there is no pressure, and your job is not to fill every moment. Your job is to allow the moment to breathe, to let her feel comfortable, to let her continue expressing those subtle cues without interruption, because once she feels rushed, judged, or pressured, those signals disappear, and you are back to uncertainty. So train yourself, sharpen your awareness, build your presence, and carry yourself with the calm strength of a man who understands that true power is quiet, steady, and controlled. Because when you do this, when you embody this mindset, you are no longer guessing. You are no longer chasing. You are leading through presence, through awareness, through emotional stability. And that is where real attraction lives. That is where real connection begins. And that is how you win. Not by force, not by noise, but by mastering yourself first, always. If you understand this, you're no longer guessing. You're reading what most men completely miss. Attraction isn't loud. It's quiet. It shows up in trust, in comfort, in the subtle way she exposes her vulnerability around you. Don't ignore it. Recognize it. Act with calm confidence. And if you're ready to see what others overlook, comment this now. I recognize the signals and I move with certainty. 7. Object tracing behavior. Now imagine this clearly. You're sitting across from her at a quiet cafe, conversation flowing, and her fingers begin to trace the rim of her glass, slowly, almost absent-mindedly, as if she's not even aware of it. At first glance, it feels like nothing, just a small, idle movement. But don't dismiss it. Don't overlook what most men ignore. Because in the language of female psychology, these subtle actions often speak louder than words ever could. When emotional energy begins to rise, when curiosity, attraction, and awareness quietly build beneath the surface, it doesn't always come out directly. Not everyone says what they feel. Instead, the body expresses it. That is where these psychology tricks reveal themselves. The tracing, the gentle movement, the repetition, it becomes a quiet outlet, a safe channel for emotions that are still forming, still being understood. You must see it for what it is, not random, but redirected energy. The object in her hand is no longer just a glass. It becomes a stand-in, a substitute, a way for her to release tension without exposing vulnerability too quickly. And here is the deeper layer most miss. When that movement is paired with eye contact, with presence, with a certain softness in her attention, it shifts from unconscious habit to meaningful signal. That is when it matters. That is when you lean in mentally, not desperately, but with awareness. Because attraction is never just one signal, never one gesture. It is a pattern, a rhythm, a collection of small, consistent behaviors that align over time. Don't make the mistake of isolating one action and building a fantasy around it. Be grounded. Be observant. Be patient. A high-value man understands that how to fall in love is not about chasing obvious signs, but about recognizing subtle alignment. He reads the room. He reads the energy. He notices what is repeated, what is consistent, what feels natural rather than forced. That is where real understanding lives. And let's go deeper. When she traces an object while talking to you, she is not disengaged, quite the opposite. Often, she is processing, feeling, exploring the moment internally while staying present with you externally. That dual awareness is powerful. It means you have her attention, even if it doesn't look dramatic. So don't interrupt it. Don't rush to fill the silence. Don't try to impress. Be calm. Let the moment breathe. That is how you build tension, the kind that draws people closer without pressure. Remember this, attraction grows in space, not in noise. And these small behaviors, these quiet psychology tricks, are often early indicators of that growth. But you must connect the dots. Is she maintaining eye contact? Is her body oriented toward you? Is her tone softening, her responses becoming more engaged? If yes, then the tracing is not isolated. It's part of a larger emotional picture. That is the pattern you're looking for. And if you understand female psychology at this level, you stop second guessing. You stop overthinking every move. Instead, you respond with clarity, with grounded confidence. You don't chase signals, you interpret them. And here's the truth most overlook: learning how to fall in love, or more importantly, how to create the conditions for it, is not about forcing outcomes. It's about recognizing when emotional doors are quietly opening. This is one of those moments. So don't ignore it. Don't dismiss it as meaningless. But also, don't exaggerate it into something it's not. Stay balanced. Stay aware. Because the man who can read these subtle cues, who can understand these quiet psychology tricks without losing himself in them, that man becomes naturally attractive. Not because he tries harder, but because he sees deeper. And in a world where most people are loud, rushed, and disconnected, that quiet awareness is rare. And rare always attracts. 8. Response and alignment. Now ask yourself honestly, how many moments in your past would look completely different if you had seen them through this lens? Not with confusion, not with doubt, but with clarity. Because awareness is not overthinking. Don't fall into that trap. Don't dissect every word, every gesture until you drain the life out of the moment. Be sharper than that. Awareness is about recognizing patterns. It's about feeling the rhythm between two people. It's about sensing when the energy shifts and having the courage to stay present inside it. Understand this. Recognizing attraction is only half the game. The other half, this is where most men fail, is how you respond to it. A woman can show interest. She can give signals, subtle and soft, almost like whispers. But she is always watching, not judging harshly, just observing. She wants to see if you meet her halfway, not with pressure, not with hesitation, but with grounded awareness. This is where a high-value man separates himself from the rest. He doesn't chase blindly. He doesn't retreat nervously. He reads the moment. He respects it. And then he steps into it with calm certainty. Don't overdo it. Don't perform. Attraction is not a stage where you prove yourself. That is where many go wrong. They try too hard. They talk too much. They force energy that should flow naturally. Be different. Be still. Be present. That is masculine energy at its finest. Quiet, centered, unshaken. When you operate from that place, you naturally attract women without needing tricks or games. Because presence speaks louder than any rehearsed line ever could. And when the moment arrives, and it always does, if you're paying attention, you will face a simple choice. Stay in your head, or step into the moment. Don't hesitate here. Don't second guess. Because hesitation breaks the connection faster than anything else. Stepping in doesn't mean being bold in a loud, dramatic way. No, it means aligning. It means responding in harmony with what is already happening. If she leans in, don't pull back out of uncertainty. That creates distance where there was once closeness. If she touches you lightly, don't freeze like you've never experienced warmth before. Stay relaxed. Stay grounded. If she holds eye contact, don't break it out of fear. Hold it. Let it breathe. That is connection. That is where tension builds in a natural, powerful way. You must understand this deeply. Attraction does not require performance. It requires presence. That is the difference. One is forced, the other is felt. A high-value man knows this. He doesn't rush. He doesn't panic. He matches her energy first, then he gently leads. Not with control, not with force, but with calm direction. That is masculine energy in action. Subtle, confident, unshakable. And when you begin to move like this, something shifts. Conversations feel easier. Moments feel richer. Women feel more comfortable around you, not because you are trying to impress them, but because you are fully there, fully aware, fully aligned. That is how you truly attract women. Not by doing more, but by being more present in what is already happening. So remember this. Don't chase the moment. Meet it. Don't force connection. Allow it. Don't hide behind overthinking. Step forward with awareness. Because in the end, it's not about saying the perfect thing. It's about being the man who knows how to feel, respond, and lead without losing himself. That is the man who stands out. That is the man who creates real connection. Hey, my friend, I'm really glad you stayed with me all the way to the end. Now listen carefully, because this matters. When you start noticing these signals, don't rush, don't overthink, and don't try to force anything. Be calm, be present. These moments are not promises, they are opportunities. That is the difference most men miss. A high value man doesn't chase blindly. He reads the moment, he understands the energy, and he responds with quiet confidence. So, next time you feel that subtle shift, the way she looks at you, the way her body opens up, don't freeze. Don't doubt yourself. Step forward, naturally, respectfully, but with certainty. You must meet the moment, not hesitate in it. That is how real connection begins. And remember this: when you truly learn to understand what's being said without words, everything changes.